So tell me who you are.
Mitch Koester.
Mitch, where did you attend high school and what year did you graduate?
I attended Teutopolis High School and graduated in the year 2000.
What sports did you play in high school?
I was a baseball and basketball player in high school.
Talk about your high school sports career from your freshman to senior year.
My freshman year in baseball and basketball, baseball obviously we had a fall season and a spring season. We were able to make it to the state tournament my freshman year and play up in Springfield in the Elite Eight. And then my basketball season in the wintertime for Teutopolis, I was able to play some varsity games, get some varsity experience, and start one game as a freshman at Teutopolis.
Talk about your teammates and your coaches.
Teammates were great. I mean, that's what I'm about is being part of a team and obviously coaching a team right now. But, guys that I looked up to and playing was Kyle Weber was one guy who now coaches at the high school level. John Nieberge was 2 years older than me, and I grew up with John a lot out in Green Creek. And, those guys and Coach Crawford, obviously, with all the respect I have for him and what he did with the program and where it is today, I've got the ultimate respect for him. And Rob Smith as my baseball coach. Rob was a baseball coach here for 4 years when I was playing, and obviously he was a basketball coach too. But I got a lot of respect for Rob too as well.
Talk about the teams and players that you played against in high school.
In high school, in the state tournaments and things like that, there was super talented players. The Dusty Bensko from Pleasant Plains, who went on and played at Illinois. Other players, Sean Jepson from Spring Valley Hall was a guy that we played against when we went up to Peoria for the basketball state tournament. Was a great player, Division I player. And then obviously for T-Town, Andrew Gobzinski, who was in my class, a Division I basketball player. All those guys were great players, and Andrew was a great teammate of mine.
What were your favorite gyms and fields to play in high school?
I would say my favorite gyms to play in, Altamont was a great venue. I felt like that was a great place to go in and play a game. The crowd was right down on top of you, and it was really loud in there. Going over to Golf Gym, playing over there on the road, obviously that atmosphere and that rivalry was a nice venue to play in. Nothing beats J.H. Griffin though, man. I mean, those fans came out and they still come out and support the program, and they supported us really well.
Talk a little about you overpassed Mark Craik in points and scoring. Talk about that. What were your emotions?
We were on the road playing down at Madison, the last regular season game, and I knew I was close. I didn't really know how many I was away. I didn't really care about that. I just wanted to get a win and continue on. We were having a great season that year as a senior, and our club ended up finishing second in state. But it was very emotional. I mean, a lot of great players that came through this program, and to be able to be at the top of that list obviously means a lot to me. But it also goes without saying, all those teammates I've had over the years and everything that they've meant to me in this program. I mean, it's not just my award. I mean, those guys contribute a lot to that as well, and I really appreciate that.
Any stories you'd like to add during your high school career?
Obviously being able to go to the state tournament all 4 years, whether it be baseball or basketball, not too many classes can say that, and being able to do that. And freshman year going in basketball or baseball, I'm sorry. Sophomore year going in freshman year going in baseball. Sophomore year going in basketball, and then baseball and basketball again in the junior and senior years. I mean, those were unbelievable experiences and great times.
Talk about some of the awards that you received in high school.
All state in basketball and baseball. Decatur Herald Player of the Year a couple times, and first team all state and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but again, I go back to all the teammates I was able to play with, and nothing would have happened without those guys. And being in the IBCA Hall of Fame, in the Illinois Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame, is a nice honor, and I was able to going to that event with Bob Zeruzen. Bob Zeruzen and I both went in the same year, so it was nice to have some familiar faces.
Finish up talking a little bit about Crawford. What did he mean what did he mean to you as far as a coach?
Just the competitive fire he had, and that's something that I've kind of grown to attribute, look back and know what he was trying to get out of everybody and out of me, and that's what I try to instill in my players. Come to the field every day, come to the workouts, come to the gym, and compete every day, whether it's against yourself, a teammate, another player, a team, whatever. Just having that competitive fire to want to win and want to get better.
After high school, where did you attend and what sport did you play?
I attended Purdue University on a baseball scholarship. I decided to go to Purdue really in the summer, towards the end of the summer, beginning of the fall of my senior year. So I committed early. I ended up signing during the early signing period my senior year, and went up to West Lafayette on a visit in the fall and went to a football game and really liked the atmosphere and liked the campus. I mean, it's a Big Ten university, playing at a Power 5 conference school, and it was a no-brainer for me.
Who recruited you?
Todd Murphy was the assistant coach up there. Todd Murphy, crazy story, knew Brad Tuttle, who was at Sullivan High School. When I was playing in high school, recommended me to Todd. They coached together at Illinois for a short time at the U of I, and Coach Murph came down and watched me play a few times and invited me up for a visit, and the rest is history.
Talk about your career in college as far as including your teammates and your coaches.
My coach is Doug Schreiber, was our head coach. He's the all-time wins leader at Purdue, and really, he was my position coach at Purdue. He was an infielder. He played at Purdue and was my infield coach there. I played shortstop there at Purdue for 3 years. Played a little bit my freshman year at third base. But Doug Schreiber was a really big influence on my playing career and helped me get better. Todd Murphy as well. But some of the players, I played against, with guys that ended up making up to the big leagues, top 10 round draft picks, top 2 round draft picks. Chad Blasco was a big right-handed pitcher from northern Indiana that ended up signing with the Cubs in the 2nd round, I believe. And then Dave Gassner was a left-handed pitcher that made it up in the big leagues with Minnesota. So those are guys that really stood out.
So you were talking about the players that you played with. Talk about the players that you played against and the teams.
We traveled all over the country from California and the West Coast to the East Coast, down south. We played at Clemson in that big atmosphere down in Clemson. We played at South Carolina. We played at Florida. We opened up my freshman year at Rice, who was #1 team in the country down in Texas, and went down there for a tournament. We played Rice, who was #1. Wake Forest and Central Florida, who were all top 25 teams. We went 2-1 that weekend to open up the season, and I was able to start all 3 of those games at third base as a freshman.
Name some of your favorite baseball fields in which you played in college.
I would say Florida and South Carolina were probably the top 2 places that we played. Obviously, SEC schools and the atmospheres and the facilities they had down there were unbelievable. But in the Big Ten, I played. Nick Swisher was at Ohio State. Rich Hill was at Michigan. Those guys stand out. Obviously they're big name guys that everybody knows from the big leagues, but those guys were at those 2 places when I was going through Purdue.
And any other stories you'd like to add in your college career?
With Purdue, obviously Drew Brees was a senior when I was a freshman there. So, it's kind of neat when we would always practice in the evening times in the indoor facility in the winter, and football would just be getting done, and Brees would be staying after and getting his extra work in. And it's for me to think back now and how much time and work and effort he put into that. And he's had an unbelievable career, and he deserves everything that he's gotten.
Did you receive any awards in college?
I was named All Big Ten shortstop 1 year, and then top defensive shortstop, obviously, 1 other year too.
So switching to your baseball now, you are now the Kaskaskia baseball coach. Behind the scenes, talk about a little bit of the process of becoming the head coach.
I graduated from Purdue, and then actually Brad Tuttle, who I mentioned earlier, was the head coach down at Kaskaskia at the time. Brad called me, or Coach Tuttle called me, and offered me an assistant's job because one of his assistants moved on, and I jumped on it. I mean, I knew Brad, I knew Coach, and I knew his relationship with Coach Murphy, who recruited me, and I bounced a couple questions off of Coach Murphy, and he said it was a no-brainer. So Megan and I moved down to that area, and I was an assistant there for 3 years. And then Coach Tuttle moved on, and I was able to step in at 26 years old and stay and take over that program. And I'm still down there, and it is where it is today.
How long have you been a head coach?
I've been the head coach there now 11 years.
11 years.
Been out to college for 14 years, and it's been a long journey, and we've had a great run.
How many local athletes do you coach?
I would say we probably have a handful, 5 or 6 every year that are from this general area. Dawson Smith has been on the roster, Eric Kramer, guys from Effingham. We've had, Anthony Heck back in 08, 09. That was a great shortstop for us. Nick Gardewine is our biggest name guy that's came out of there. I mean, Nick was a 7th round draft pick by the Rangers out of Effingham High School. Jordan Blummer was down at Louisville North Clay, has pitched for us. Kyle Floyd up at Windsor and was a catcher for us on our World Series team in 2013. All those guys, I mean, this area has been very good for our program, and we're going to continue to do that.
How relieving is it to have so many local kids that you can count on?
It's good. I mean, hey, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know when I come to a game up here, or I make a phone call up here to talk to a coach, and there's some guys that are going to give me some honest opinions. I mean, they're going to tell me, yeah, they can play in the Grad, they can help you, they can win games, and you make those phone calls before you go to the games, but then when you follow up and go to the games and you see how much they're going to be able to contribute, it's nice.
Describe any obstacles that you have in coaching.
Being a junior college, it's got its reputation of being a junior college, not Division I, not Division II, that type of thing. But we're able to go out and recruit and do a lot of things and have a lot of resources to be able to do that.
Describe how recruiting works.
A lot of it nowadays, there's so much video out there, and numbers is the big thing with miles per hour and exit velo and launch angle and stuff like that. So the game has definitely changed in that aspect. When I was going through, there was not all the exit velos, and nobody talked about that type of thing, or velocity was a big thing back then.
Deep down, what do you enjoy most about your job?
Being around the kids. I mean, the team, the players, I mean, they're all great to be around. The other coaches in the athletic department, we're part of a team, and we want to continue to work and get back and get to that World Series again.
How far does the team travel?
We take trips down to Mississippi every year. 2 different trips. We go down early in our season in late February. For 2 trips, and we've got our own charter bus that we can travel down there on at the college. So it's a good experience early on to get down there and be able to play.
How far has the team made it in the previous years?
In 09, we won the conference. We won the Grad with Anthony Heck and those guys. My brother Wade was on the team. That was a great group to have. In 2013, we cracked and went through the World Series, the JUCO World Series out in Grand Junction, Colorado, for the first time in school history. That's never been done before at Kaskaskia, and we were able to do that in 2013. And then in 2015, we won the region again and ended up getting beat in the district championship game to go back to the World Series.
Wow, that's awesome. So we talked about the players and the local players, but describe what it's meaning to you about being a local coach.
It's great. I know me being from this area, I know what these kids are going through. I know it's kind of the rural setting and not big high schools like you have in the big metropolitan areas, but these kids are hard nosed. They're going to come in. They're going to work hard. They're going to, number one, get an education. Number two is play baseball, and those are the two things that I'm looking for when a guy comes in. And I know exactly from this area, those two guys, those two things are going to be what these guys are going to be focused on.
Add any stories you'd like to add during your coaching career right now?
I think the big thing with us and being in 2013 and going to the World Series for the first time ever, the group of guys we had was mainly Illinois guys, and we had some guys from out of state and out of the area, but those years, 2013 and 2015, were pretty special.
At what age did you become interested in sports?
Oh man, I grew up in Green Creek, and it was interesting to know that at a young age we were outside. I had two younger brothers, and we were outside all the time. I mean, I was probably 4 or 5 years old and outside, hitting rocks in the driveway, and we didn't have anybody else around, so as us three, and we were outside playing all day long.
Since you played baseball and basketball, how has the game changed?
Like I talked about earlier with baseball, I mean, it's a numbers game now. I mean, guys are looking for numbers, and if your exit velo is high, your spin rates on the mound, velocity wise, if those numbers check out, I mean, that's the way the game is right now. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, those are great things to have and be able to use. The basketball side of things, I feel like guys are more physical now. I mean, the weight room, the speed and agility type of things that are out there and accessible to everybody has really changed the game of basketball.
What advice would you give to today's youth about playing sports?
Just go out and compete every day. Whether it's against yourself, a brother, a sister. My two kids are 10 and 7 now, and they were outside earlier this evening, outside playing with each other, and one's pitching to the other, and they're competing against each other, trying to get each other out. And that's what I would like to say is just, if you're a young kid out there and you want to go and compete every day, even if it's only for 30 or 45 minutes, get outside and go compete again and try to beat somebody or something.
What has sports done to change your life?
It is who I am. I mean, it's taken me on a big journey, all over the country, all over the world. It's really, treated me well and my family well. My wife and I have been married for 15 years, going to be married for 15 years in August. And, I wouldn't be able to do it without her. That's for sure. I mean, she's here day in and day out when I'm on the road with the team or recruiting, and she takes care of the family. And, it's really allowed us to be who we are today.
Talk about your biggest role models.
Obviously my parents, and what they were allowed us to do when we were younger. I mean, we didn't have a lot, but we made it work, and our vacations in the summertime were to ball tournaments, baseball tournaments, basketball tournaments, whether it's myself or my brothers. But then my grandfather, Gene Rundy, obviously is a huge role model for me. Still go over to his house, quite a bit, not as often right now with the way it is right now, but, he's a guy that I love to go talk to and just tell stories.
Mitch, is there anything else you would like to share?
I don't think so. I mean, I just appreciate everything you're doing, Tyler, and, many more things to come, obviously in the sports world, and hopefully we can all get through this and be in a better place at the end.
Thank you for your time, Mitch.
Thank you, Tyler.